Yep, Wally is ready to go. I see her right here, and we are moving her to our spotlight video spot. Hey, Wally, can you hear us okay?
Hi, it looks like she's muted, so we'll want
I'm
to
gonna unmute her.
unmute her and we will say hello. There we go.
Can you
You're
hear
on the
us?
air. Hi. Can you give us a
How are you?
quick... Great. We're doing great, Wally. Can you give us just another quick hello so we can check the volume levels?
Hello, all of you. Good day.
Oh,
It is great in Texas. And I
Hello.
did see the Blue Angels fly over.
the Blue Angels were in Texas today.
Yes, sir.
Oh, that must have been fantastic. Here in Seattle, they come by. We always love to host them as part of Seafair. That is always a very special time when they fly over during Seafair, and so anytime you get to see the Blue Angels is a fun time. All right, just want to make sure the connection's good. There's a little bit of signal loss, so if we lose you, we'll pick you right back up, Wally. No trouble there.
I'm not worried a bit about it. I've done many of these.
Good. Yeah, you know your way around this kind of thing. Now, are you tuned in to the Twitch stream so you can see this beautiful airplane that we're flying?
Not yet.
We'll get you on there. Let's see. We'll make sure that you can see what's going on. So we'll be here for just a second. But for every...
I wish you were putting me in my Stearman.
And you have... do you have a Stearman of your own? Because that would be amazing.
Well, this is just a... they're tearing it apart right now, but that was my Stearman back in 1960. And that was one of the pieces that came out of the wing. And they're redoing the wing and all the fabric. And that's up in Washington right now. But I don't have, I didn't bring a picture of me in the airplane, and I should have.
Well, it's a beautiful aircraft. That red and white
they're
paint
all
job is
painted.
great.
Mine was painted differently, but this is, this is the way they're painted now.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh. I have to learn how to get my pictures to you.
Oh, it's working great, though. We can see it just fine.
I have about 2,000 hours of Stearman, and I taught acrobatics. But before we start, I'll get up to how I did that.
Please tell us all about it.
Tell me when to start.
Well, you're on right now.
So hello, everybody. It's so nice to be here, and thank you for having me. And everybody wants to know, well, where did Wally come from? Well, I was born and raised in Taos, New Mexico, and the first experience I had is when my parents took me to an airport, and at 2 years old, I went over to a DC-3, and I tried to turn that nut because I wanted to see if that wheel was on correctly. How did I have that information? Because I was born in Taos, and with the Taos mountain that has a spirit, and Mother always said that spirit will tell you what to do every day, and it has. It has. So I have been. I had my first experience with. My parents gave me a Superman cape, and at 5, I put the Superman cape on, and I put hay down on the bottom of the barn floor, and I jumped off the barn wanting to fly. So that was my first experience that I wanted to do it other than twisting that nut. So, that didn't work. What happened here? So I put more hay down there. I thought, I gotta move my arms. So I got up there, I jumped off, I moved my arms. Oh, that didn't work either. I thought, I don't have a propeller. And then I said, my father owned a 5 and 10 in Taos, and I said, I need some airplanes to put together, and those were the old-fashioned balsa wood models that came in boxes, and I probably put together 100 of those, and you have to cut them out, shave them, and then have them just perfect the way the instructions say, and then glue them, and then put the paper over the parts, the wings, the elevators, fuselage, and then let it dry. And then I wanted to make it really taut. So I went into Mother's bedroom or bathroom, and I got her atomizer, because I knew that you could squeeze water out of that. I poured out the perfume, put some water in it, and then I squeezed, and then I made that absolutely taut. All the wings, the elevators, the fuselage was taut with the paper. Then it could dry for a couple of days, and then I could paint it the way I wanted to paint it, my airplane. So that was my very first way of starting my career at 5 and 10 years old, starting to fly. I want to tell you this. I owe much of my success and the guidance and the love that my parents gave me ever since I was a young kid. They knew that I wanted to fly, and my mother had her father wouldn't let her fly at all in Illinois, but being in Taos at 7,000 feet, and I was also a skier. I was on the Olympics. I shot guns. This is one of the one rifles I had, and this is at 14. And then at the club that I belong to, I got my medals, and then this is the most fantastic medal you could get. That is your I can't think of the name of it. Distinguished Rifleman's Award, and they were so elated about me having that in our club. They sent the target to Washington, to the gun club, and that got to President Eisenhower, and then Eisenhower wrote to me and said, congratulations, you're the first girl to get this particular medal for your Distinguished Rifleman's Award. So
wow.
I've done a lot in the world of flying and being encouraged. I've had never any fears. When I went to college at 14 at Stevens College. I got my license at 15. I was a 99 by that time, 16. And then I went to Oklahoma State, and then I was in a lot of their, both at Stevens and Oklahoma State, at their types of performance where you had to do everything just perfectly, landing right smack on the line or whatever they'd have, doing 360s, doing wheel landings, regular landings, taking off just correctly. You had to do everything perfect. And I'm the only girl doing this back then. So I met a lot of crises that came along, but I didn't let them ever deter me. I always had a big heart, and I was given that gift of confidence of never having any fear. I go higher, faster, longer.
Wow.
Higher, faster, longer.
I want some of your confidence, Wally. It's amazing.
Well, and I still have it. I'm still doing it. I was just on a tractor last weekend. I'm flying. I'm teaching. I have 19,600 hours of flying time.
Wow.
And I just love it. But this is the airplane that I really, really loved. And I have about 2,000 hours in California teaching people how to do acrobatics. So I was teaching all that wonderful stuff. And then is when I got the word that Dr. Lovelace wanted people to come and be people to take the astronaut test in Albuquerque. Well, the guys had already done that. They had selected 120 guys, and how many did we get? Mercury 7, right?
Right.
And they asked me to come. I spent a week or so with Lovelace. I was able, after he only did so many tests, and then I had to go to other places in the United States and even into Russia to take more and more tests to do more than what our NASA people had done. And it came out to be that the doctor said that I had beat all the guys on all my tests. And one test that I'm going to tell you about, and I want you all to think about the determination that I have to do all of this, because I want to be the best, and I'm still flying and born with ability and a good attitude and very forward-thinking parents. So one of the tests was the isolation test. And they said, come on in with your swimsuit on. And they put me in a big room in a great big tank. And of course, I said, sure, no problem. I want you to stay in there as long as you can, is what the doctor said. And they said, be careful getting into the tank. It was probably I couldn't even tell you how big it was. But I got in, and they gave me 2 pieces of foam rubber, the size of a brick, to go behind my back and behind my neck. And that is what kept me floating. I never had any vest or anything on that would help me stay afloat. So it was be something bigger than this behind my neck and behind my back, to be very careful how I was in the water. Now, they wanted me to do a spread eagle, arms out, legs out, which I did do. And no lights. All they had was a microphone. And then I splashed the water, couldn't feel it. I splashed it on my face, couldn't feel it. I licked it, I couldn't taste it. Oh, what have they done here? They had been taking my temperature for over a week. And when that happened, at 97 degrees, that's what the temperature of the room was, the water, and the humidity was all of my temperature. So of course,
feel a thing.
I was in space. And that's how I felt. I made my mind go on up into space, and I lay there spread-eagled forever. And I was not bored. I didn't move. And I was warned, don't move or you're going to fall off your 2 little bricks. They weren't bricks. They were pieces of foam rubber. So, after a while they said, hey, Wally, how are you doing? I said, I'm doing just great. They said, do you need to do anything? I said, nope. And they said, okay, we're going to let you keep on going. And of course, before all of this, I'd had psychological tests. They wanted to know how my brain worked. I'd been sent to Los Alamos. They wanted to know how all of the things in my body worked. They knew my body inside and out. It was absolutely incredible what these people could do back in the 60s. And this is how we got our girl astronauts. And also, this is the Mercury 7. So, being practical and bold and complex and precise, I'm a very responsible person. And I never stop, and I always march to my own drummer. But the spirit of that Taos Mountain is what gave me everything for me to keep going. Every day, even today, I knew I was going to be with you all. So, I'm the kid next door in Taos, New Mexico. And then all the phases, there was phase 1, 2, and 3. There were 25 girls selected, and not all of them passed their tests. And I'm the only one left. And we didn't know each other because we were taken by myself. And that was all those tests that they gave us. And then there was phase 2, the psychological test, which is in Oklahoma City. And that was part of the isolation tank test. And they told me when I'd stayed in 10 hours and 35 minutes, I was pretty amazed because it hadn't felt like that. It felt just like a couple of hours, but it was that amount of time. Then I was over to El Toro and took the high altitude chamber test and some centrifuge tests, and I could get up to 5 Gs with no problem. Well, Gs were no problem to me because I had taught 360s and heavy acrobatics in the Stearman. So that was very easy for me. And then I went on to Star City. I was a guest there, and I met Valentina Tereshkova, and I was able to lecture. And I was in Russia 3 times in Star City, and was able to take all the tests that the guys took. And it was really fun because some of them were like what we had in America, and I wanted to do my best and show them that girls could do it. And I have to say that what a ride that was to be candidate for the cosmonauts. But anyway, some of the things that I learned from my grandfather, what a wonderful, interesting man, and so were my parents. Grandfather said, if you want to become smart, you have to associate with smart people. And be sure that you don't lend and you don't borrow. You don't lend your phone out and you don't borrow it, because you probably will never see it again. So those are just some of the things that you have to learn. And I learned so much on my own. And the things that you never get to do something twice. It's the first time. It's how you act, it's how you're dressed, it's how you fly the airplane. It's that first time that really counts. And then Mother would always say, don't go faster than your angel can fly. She was my first passenger when I got my license. And that was at, it's Oklahoma State. And I had her with me in a lot of challenging things that I had done. And I wanted her to be with me. So I ended up here at Fort Sill, and I was one of their instructors for the guys, and that was very exciting. They never had a girl as far as being on in an airplane. And then after Fort Sill, I went to Europe. I went to 54 countries in my Volkswagen camper, and this is a picture of all of the countries going over the United States, all of Europe, and all of Africa. And I was just amazed how wonderful people treated me. I never had any problems, nothing with the car. Everything was great. It was kind of interesting. First time I had to get gas in France was you had to be taken to a place where you go downstairs underneath the ground to get gas. Well, that was my first experience of getting gas down below. Then when I came back, I bought the Queen Mom's Rolls Royce. That was fabulous. That was a 1941 vehicle. It was pristine, and the radiators opened and closed as it needed air to function. So that, I'm so sorry now that I sold that, because it was a great airplane, car. Then I built my house. I have been building all my life. I was a tomboy in Taos. I built all kinds of wood things, tree houses, things that Father could sell at the store to the tourists. I shined shoes. I was a shooter. I did all these wonderful things. And then I built my house in Taos. This part was the first part, the little house, and then I built the 2-story and the hangar. And it's all adobe. I helped with all the bricks. I helped build it. I designed it and helped build it. And unfortunately, when I was asked to go to different places in the United States, I had to sell some of my things. I'm so sorry I sold the Stearman and the Rolls Royce, because they were my heart. And then Mother had me go to, or I got invited to the Mike Douglas show in 1975, and Mother had me all dressed up in Indian jewelry, and that was a great time going to see Mike and be on his show. That was the first time I had been on a television show, and that was in '75. Since then, I've been on many, many shows, and it's so nice to be on this show. Then this is what I did last weekend. I'm on a tractor and I mow grass for a friend of mine. And I try to go every other week to mow grass, clean out the lake, because these are times that has to be cleaned out. And then I got involved with Virgin Galactic and Sir Richard Branson, and that's the vehicle in the middle that I'm going to go up in on Virgin Galactic, Spaceship 2. So I paid them quite a bit of money back in 2010, and my number is probably right under 190 something. So you people, if you see this in England, let's get me up there. Okay, I have had several nice times, and Netflix did a nice thing for me, and the Mercury 13 girls, they're interview, their face is on each one of them. I don't know which one mine is. Then oh golly, a quilt was made by a 99 and a WASP woman, and it took her a long time to make this quilt. It went around the United States to be shown, and right now, 2020, it is in the Library of Congress. So any of you that are there in Washington, go to the Library of Congress and ask for Wally's picture of Wally's quilt. And then this is when I am a captain for many, many planes and many companies, and I've been lecturing forever, and I just love my life. I've never had a problem, I've never had an accident, and I just really want to thank all of you for letting me do all these things. Oh, here's another, I've just found another picture that wherever I go, they give me a nice picture to frame when I was speaking. And I think this was in, I was here somewhere in Texas here. So, what I want to tell people is to challenge yourself. If you do take exceptions, know how to handle anything that comes along that doesn't really agree with your mind or your body. Don't ever do anything that you would not want to have bad. I've always been brought up with always positive thinking. My grandparents and my parents were absolutely wonderful with everything they wanted me to do, and that spirit of that Taos Mountain telling me everything I want to do, even coming here today and being with you all. And I like to make sure that the kids today learn how to do things on their own when they're 10, 11 years old, instead of being told what to do in the house. I was never in the house. I never did learn how to cook. I never bought groceries. I was always outside doing things, building. Mother would say, where are you going to sleep tonight? Well, I could sleep out at the Pueblo with the Indians. I could sleep on top of the roof. I had a tent. I had a tree house. I could sleep anywhere. They never were concerned about my safety, because I knew that I would do everything correct. And it just, one person has to slow down, 1 foot right after another. And I want to say more and more, but I think I've taken up my time. So if there's some questions, I would love to answer them.
Wally, you're amazing. I just want to start by saying that. I've absolutely just been delighted to hear your story so far. I do have some questions, but I wanted to make sure if there were any questions from the audience, we get to those.
We do have one. MC Koss is asking, Wally, with 19,000 flight hours and no accidents, how did you do this?
Well, number one, you have to be really smart. You have to know your airplane. And, oh, I forgot my Wally stick. Get my Wally stick out of the bottom of my page screen. I made something that helps. Pre-flights are very, very important. And I made a Wally stick, and that Wally stick is all over the United States. It has marks, how much fuel your tank holds, which is normally 7 inches. You can bang on the prop. If you want to see if the prop is in good shape, you bang on it, and if it's a light ping, there's okay. If it's a dud thud, it is not ready to be flown. So pre-flights are very important, but the pre-flight of the person is the most important thing, because I was an investigator for the FAA, and I guess I did a great job because the NTSB comes along, and I was with the NTSB for 10, 15 years in Los Angeles. I was sent to many states. I did 45 accidents, investigations, and a couple of large aircraft. But the main thing is today we're seeing weather not being prepared, the airplane not being prepared. 5 things that come up that people have accidents today. I'll hear about an accident on the TV, and I'll know exactly why and what happened. So you folks out there wanting to know how to do everything just correct, don't be in a hurry. Take your time. Plan what your brain's doing. Plan on the chart. Plan on the airplane.
That was a great question and a great answer too. Pre-flight, I think my father had told me he'd heard from a captain friend of his that said, never fly further than where your head is at. You always have to be thinking ahead of your aircraft.
That's absolutely right.
And he also taught me the same thing you did, which is take your time. So one of the best things that you can do in an aircraft to buy yourself time, slow down. Don't be in a rush. That's wonderful.
That's very true.
I've got a question for you. Now, I looked at your experience, as you told me, the experience with that sensory deprivation, the isolation tank during the Mercury. That was very terrifying. What was the most exciting part? Not for you. You're right. It wasn't terrifying for you. It'd be terrifying for me. But I'm wondering what the most exciting part of your Mercury 13 experience was for you.
Well, with being in the tank, being by myself for that long, I've always been able to put my mind up into the heavens, into the sky. Even when I go to bed every night, I don't read, I don't do anything. I'm ready to get into bed, come up with the sheets. And if you snore, you can put some tape over your mouth and that will stop that. I've done that too.
Oh my.
It's got to be correct tape from the doctor.
Oh.
Anyway, I have never had a problem with any test or had any bad feelings. I was just so anxious. I'm a person that wants to know how to do it. I want to have the knowledge. And I've learned a lot about engineering and building. I've built airplanes and I've worked on cars, built houses. I built 3 homes, and I just had that spirit and telling me what to do. And I've been very, very lucky. And I'll keep going.
I do feel like you've made some of your own luck. That's for sure. I believe in that. I believe that folks can, help things kind of move along with their attitudes and the way that they think and your natural curiosity. You want to know how it works. I think that's very special. I think that has a lot to do with things.
You know what? Kids don't have that. Their parents don't talk to them about how to be curious. My father was sometimes a little curious as how the 5 and 10 was running, and Mother was always in a long dress and ran Taos. Now Taos was only 2,000 people, so it was a small town at 7,100 feet. And of course then I would go up skiing at 12,000 feet. Those things were always so easy because my parents said, go do
it. I love that.
Charles, we have a couple of other questions on the stream.
If you're okay with it, Wally, you ready to answer some more questions?
Go for it.
Go.
I'm having a hard time hearing some of you.
Go
Talk
for
up.
it, Chelsea.
The first one that our user September_Fury is asking is, Wally, was there another woman out there who inspired you?
No. It was the spirit of that Taos Mountain and Wally doing it for the Wally. I never had anybody that I wanted to follow. I have dated. I've had a chance to get married. I said no. I married my airplane, and that's it. I'm married by Stearman, and I've had a wonderful life just that way.
That's awesome.
That was a good one.
Awesome. Do you do a 3-point or wheel land in a Stearman?
Everything, any kind. Even sometimes one wheel landing, and keep it going down, and then put the other wheel down, and then the tail. It's all how well you fly the aircraft.
and I'm sure we all can probably guess the answer to this question, but what was your favorite airplane that you ever flew and why?
Well, it was a Stearman because that's the one I owned. But I owned 3 other airplanes: a 150, a 172, and I taught a lot in, and 182. Now I have flown other airplanes and jets and so forth. But you asked about my favorite, the Stearman, being only 2 cockpit, open cockpit, 4 wings, the air going past my hair and my face. We didn't even hardly have helmets back then. And there was no way to talk. Sometimes I'd have to get out of my seat, put one leg on the wing, and yell at my student who was behind me to get him to do what I want him to do. And sometimes the tower would say, "Wally, get back in the airplane." So I did as much as I could to teach until things came available for us to use.
Is that another thing you could use the Wally stick for, is getting the attention of your student?
No, never had to do that. Never any of this. This belongs to the propeller and other parts of the airplane, and especially the fuel.
Got it. All right. Well, I'll be sure to make sure I use the Wally stick the right way.
And I have one more too. What is the #1 piece of advice you would give to new or aspiring pilots?
A new or inspiring pilot? That's easy. I take them out for their first flight, and they're sitting in the left seat, and I take their right hand once they're buckled in and so forth, and I have them on cushions in front, and behind, and then sitting on them. And I have a 9-year-old that I'm teaching. She was so great. Okay, I take the hand and I put it on the throttle. I take the other hand and I have it on the control, and I said, now, just keep your hands there, keep them still. Then I get the airplane out on the runway, because they can't, they're too short to get to the rudders. And then I'll say, all right, I want you to push in the throttle gently all the way. And then as we start going down the runway, I'll say, all right, pull back the wheel about 1/2 inch. And they do, and by that time, the airplane has lifted up and they're flying. And I'll say, all right, now if you turn the wheel to the left, the airplane will slowly turn to the left. And that's how I start people and how I teach them.
That's awesome. We have a user named Cleared Approach asking, where do you fly out of? I think there's somebody who wants to take lessons.
Yeah,
including myself.
It's hard to find airplanes right now, but I'm at Northwest Regional, which is north of Texas.
Nice.
I have flown all over the United States and Europe. In fact, there was a program I was on, and many people were from different countries. And I've been to India and taught, England and taught, Africa and taught, France. It's been wonderful having the experience, and of course, trying to understand the towers of flight in different countries.
Apparently, I have been prompted to ask you about a time when you rode an alligator in South Africa.
Where did you read that?
I got it from Good Word.
Yeah, this is in South Africa, and this was in the 70s when you could do anything and go anywhere. I mean, I was in the Mid-East, and it was not like it is today. So one of the guys said, hey, we've got an alligator here. Do you want to get on him? I said, sure. What do we have to do? He said, well, come up and stand right kind of next to him. And then he put his hands over the eyes of the alligator, and he said, now I want you to start to get on, but I'm going to take my hands off, and I want you to put your hands on the eyes of the alligator, which I did do. I got on the alligator, I rode him like a horse, and we started to walk. It was so easy, so neat. I have never had a problem with any animal. People don't like snakes or this or that or what are things crawling around in the house. I'll go pick them up, throw them out. When I grew up, I had to irrigate a lot, and that meant there were snakes in the irrigation dishes. I just pick them out, put them in their home. no problem. I've never been afraid of anything. I've been on elephants, kangaroos. I've been on any kind of animal there is.
Amazing. I had a question for you, Wally. Is there a flight museum, a favorite flight museum of yours, near where you are these days?
Well, there's quite a few that I have been in that have given me the honor of speaking, and they're all over the United States. Of course, I can't think of all of them right now. It's been in Seattle and down in Florida.
Of course.
I'm sorry, I wasn't prepared for that question.
No, I'm sorry. That's
and a lot of my Iwasum. They're in no, can't remember where Iwasum is right now. A lot of people want my okay. There's the vintage flying, and here in Fort Worth that is very, very good. And I've been to some of the best, and some of the best in Europe. It's been a real pleasure to be asked, like my, what was it, this, to be in Washington. The Museum of Women Pilots is another extraordinary great museum. There are many, many. I wasn't really ready to have all that written down because there's so many of them, and they've all given me some type of a framed or a brochure instrument for me to take home, and my walls are full of all these wonderful pieces and trophies.
fantastic. Well, let's see. Anything else from our viewers, Chelsea?
I'm looking here. I see that we have a question about whether or not you've been to the Lone Star Aviation Museum in Houston.
Oh, probably so, hon. Yes.
it's
Probably
likely. I believe is that a sister museum of ours to the Museum of Flight?
Yes, it is. They have a copy of our Aviation Learning Center at the Lone Star Flight Museum, and they also are the house of the Texas Aviation Hall of Fame.
Fantastic. Well, here in the game, now I don't know, Wally, if you've been able to tune in and see the Stearman flying that I've been doing, but the whole time I've been flying this wonderful aircraft, and we just touched down at Boeing Field, and I'm going to taxi over to the Museum of Flight, because it's a very special place, and I would just like to make sure that this aircraft ends up there as we sort of finish our day. Oh, it looks like I'm going to go ahead and do a 360 here real quick. Anyway.
I've got something while you're doing your 360. This is the latest book that's out. It's Wally Funk's Race for Space. Ooh. And I think you can get it online. I'm not sure.
Yes.
I'm in about 12 to 14 books.
Well, based on your life, I think you ought to be. 12 or 14 books, you should be in more books.
And Charles, I just linked that in the stream chat. So if there's anyone watching our stream who wants to know more about Wally, that book is right there. Definitely grab it. It looks awesome, and the reviews look really great too. So it's linked right there in our chat. Grab that. Check it out.
Well, I want to thank all of you for having me on your program, because it took about 6 or 7 of you guys to do this, and I had a great time. Thank you very much.
Wally, thank you so much for joining us on the show. We're so delighted to have you. Your story is so great, and well, we're just really thankful. We're thankful. We're very lucky to have you on the show.
Did you happen to make a VCR of this?
You bet we're going to.
We do have a clip.
I would love for you to send me a copy of my part.
You will have it. I promise.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Wally.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.